Hi friends, today's math review, in case you missed our Zoom lesson, we talked about the different angles that we have been studying. So we know that we've been studying acute angles, obtuse angles, right angles, straight angles, zero angles, and I want you to just take a second in your head and think if you remember which angles these pictures match up to. Okay, so the first angle that we have been talking about over here is a straight angle. And a straight angle, remember, it's like those two rays are starting together and they open all the way up to equal 180 degrees. The next angle that we have been talking about are acute angles. Remember, these guys are so cute and little. We say that because they are less than 90 degrees, but they are greater than 0 degrees. So they're in between 0 and 90, or I guess in between 0 and 89, because we know over here this is a right angle. And a right angle measures exactly 90 degrees. And that's why we label it with that little square right there to show us that it is exactly 90 degrees. Down here, we have an obtuse angle. An obtuse angle is less than 90 degrees, greater than 90 degrees, but less than 180 degrees. So it's in between those 2 degrees. And the last angle we have is a zero angle. A zero angle measures exactly 0 degrees because those 2 rays are closed and there is no degree to measure in between them. So today, the question I'm going to ask you is, how can we use pattern blocks to construct different angles? The other day we practiced measuring the angles inside of pattern blocks. Today we're going to see how we can use different pattern blocks to construct angles that we want to make. So I'm going to go over here into this pattern blocks app. And you guys will have access to this through your Seesaw activity that you are working on today. And what it looks like is you see your pattern blocks off to the side over here. And I pulled out all of the pattern blocks that we used during our last lesson. So when I'm looking at those, I remember this was the equilateral triangle, and I know that each angle was 60 degrees. I know that when I'm looking at a square, each angle was 90 degrees. I know that when I'm looking at this parallelogram, we had 60 degrees for the acute angles and 120 degrees for the obtuse angles. In the trapezoid, we had 60 degrees again for the acute angles and 120 degrees for the obtuse angles. In that small rhombus that we were looking at, we had 30 degrees for our acute angles and 150 degrees for our obtuse angles. And then we had the hexagon where we can remember that all angles were equal to 120 degrees. So now what we're going to do is, let's say that I wanted to make a 90-degree angle. I want to make a 90-degree angle. Well, I know for sure that I can pull down a square because I know a square is always going to be equal to 90 degrees. I mean, the angle inside of a square, an interior angle in a square, is always going to be equal to 90 degrees. But I want to try to combine other pattern blocks and use less than, I don't want to use just this square. I want to try and find combine other pattern blocks together to fill in that square, okay? So the first thing I'm going to try is a oops, sorry about that. The first shape I'm going to try is a trapezoid. I'm going to pull that down, and if I look, it fills part of it, but not all of it. I still need more to fill that 90 degrees. So I'm going to take a look and decide which of my pattern blocks over here would be the best to fill this out. I'm going to go with the small rhombus. I know I need to turn it a little bit, bring him down. And it looks to me like those two fit together perfectly to create a 90-degree angle. And I did that by putting together my 30-degree angle from here and my 60-degree angle from here. So I know 30 degrees plus 60 degrees will give me a 90-degree angle. This is me breaking down two smaller angles to create a larger angle. Now, let's say that I want to make a 60-degree angle. Well, if I want to make a 60-degree angle, I remember, I didn't even mean to draw that shape, but that is what we're going to talk about, is the triangle. We specifically are going to talk about the equilateral triangle because that's the one that we were using 2 days ago during our math lesson. And we know that that angle right there inside of the triangle is equal to 60 degrees. So I can try and build it with one pattern block like the trapezoid. Oops. Could use one pattern block like the trapezoid and bring that down because I remember those were equal and that works out perfectly. But that's just 60 degrees still. I'm not adding any angles together to make a new angle. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that trapezoid. I'm going to try and pull down something that I think would fit inside of the equilateral triangle that's not going to take up the whole thing. And I'm going to go with my smallest shape over here. This rhombus. Now that makes part of the angle, but not enough. I think I need to add one more. And when I put those together, they make a perfect 60-degree angle. So I figured that out by doing a 30-degree angle and another 30-degree angle, because I know 30 degrees plus 30 degrees equals 60 degrees. And that's going to create a 60-degree angle for me. So part of the assignment that you guys are going to see in Seesaw today is identifying angles and polygons, different types of angles and different types of polygons, like we started out with our review. And then you are going to go on this website and use different pattern blocks to create right angles of 90 degrees and straight angles of 180 degrees. And try and do it using multiple pattern blocks, not just one, okay? Can't wait to see what you guys have to show me. Bye.